Welcome everyone. We are starting the webinar now. My name is Aditi Rastogi. I am representing Path Infotech and I'll be moderating the webinar today. I would like to thank all of you for joining us. The topic of today's webinar is SharePoint Online Supercharging Intranet Experience. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. The audience line will remain muted during this session. If you have any questions during the session, please type them into the question box in your control panel. The question answer round will be at the end of the session and we will address your questions at that time. This session is getting recorded. The link would be shared with all the participants post webinar. We also have a raffle draw at the end of the session for all the participants. We are highly obliged to have our speaker for this webinar today. We have with us Dr. Nikhil Jain. Dr. Nikhil is a technology professional with 20+ years of experience in areas like business process automation, analytics, consulting, and delivery. Hi, Nikhil. How are you?
I'm doing good, Aditi. Thanks for asking.
Great, Nikhil. Glad to have you here. So, Nikhil, before we move on to understand from you about a modern intranet in detail, would you like to set up the context here by helping me and the audience understand that how is intranet playing a vital role in an employee's life?
Definitely. So maybe I'll take to the next slide to set the stage about this webinar, and I would also like to thank everyone for joining us here. And it is really important in today's world to understand that intranet, though it's been a pretty old concept and it's being used in almost every organization. And I should say that in a most simple context, it is something like a web page with certain links there, and those links are actually pointing to some line of business applications within the organizations, right? So this is a thought process or a very basic idea around which intranet, as soon as we talk about intranet, comes into our mind, right? Now, specific to this particular context where we are talking about intranet, and specifically intranets which are built around SharePoint as a technology, I should say, yeah, SharePoint is something which is quite popular as a base tool around which intranets are being built. And just to highlight, if I say in a pretty modern sense, if I talk about in a modern era, definition of intranet has quite changed now. So we are talking about a system which is very predictive, so which actually predicts us. It understands who we are, what is our role, what kind of information we need to execute our day-to-day task, or rather what kind of applications or tools we need access to. So those all capabilities of a particular intranet systems makes it intelligent, makes it smart, makes it modern. And that's what we will be talking around in today's next, say, 30 to 40 minutes time frame. And if I talk about these two research firms, NN Group and Step 2, they have been continuously doing a lot of surveys around, and on and off they are coming out with a lot of data. And yes, it is also you can say reflect that SharePoint is well recognized tool around which intranets are being built, right? So this is going to be interesting, and for making this complete, you can say, session more interactive and engaging, we are bringing in a couple of poll questions to have your inputs. We have few videos as well to make it a little bit lively, and that's how we would plan to proceed ahead with the session. Is it something enough, Aditi, to set the stage? And thank you so much for introducing me.
Superb, Nikhil. Thank you for sharing with us what intranet is all about and its importance in an employee's life. Now, as you have already set up the base for us, I would request you now to take the lead from here and give us all an insightful session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Aditi. And I believe before we start the session, I would like to set the stage with one question which I would like to put forward to everyone. And I would request Aditi if you can bring up this poll question to set the stage in a better way.
Absolutely, Nikhil. There's a poll on your screens right now. I would request you share your input.
Yeah, so it's important, like again, understanding what kind of a technology you are using for your existing intranet system. There are various platforms, and yes, SharePoint is a popular one, but it'll be great to understand what is that you guys are using.
Thank you so much, everyone. Nikhil, you can proceed.
Aditi, I must say it's a very interesting outcome. I can see people are using mix of M365, SharePoint, but yes, the complete you can say I'll say adoption of SharePoint Online is pretty impressive here. That's what I could actually make out of this particular poll response. Thank you all so much. We'll just proceed to the next slide now. So before we jump into a conversation of intranet, it is really interesting that we are taking SharePoint as one of the conversation points here, because yes, this is one of the most popular base platform to build SharePoint intranets, right? And it has a quite a long history. It's been there for almost 2 decades. The journey got started from 2000 as a SharePoint portal server, 2001, and it has various on-prem versions, 2007, 2010, and previously we used to deploy the whole solution on servers, and it was so successful that Microsoft actually took this platform and actually created a complete online ecosystem. So if you really look on the right hand side where we are today, in terms of ability to execute and completeness of the vision of this particular OEM, it is moving forward, and it has been there for a long time on the leadership um, square on the top right corner. So that's what is making this particular platform very interesting, and how the vision and clarity about people adopting this platform and how OEM is investing in this platform is getting reflected across 2 decades of experience. Now, one thing interesting here is, if I move to the next slide, where I should say that it is an innovation that actually started inside SharePoint Online, or rather a SharePoint platform itself, and it actually went outside. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look on the left hand side of this particular slide, you can see SharePoint as a complete, you can say, enterprise platform in itself. Now, when I say enterprise platform, it includes workflow engine, it includes InfoPath form technology, it includes building site capabilities, list libraries, integrations, and usage analytics. Everything was there as a complete product. But if I talk about learning of Microsoft of this particular platform, and how Microsoft has taken up those learning to power up the complete M365 ecosystem, which is the most current, latest, and greatest technology available on cloud as SaaS. And with my experience and with how I have observed Microsoft growing this particular platform, or rather investing in this platform, I can very well say that workflows which used to be working inside SharePoint Online, on the right hand side, you have a more powerful tool which is again independent in the form of Power Automate. If you talk about InfoPath forms on the left hand side, where SharePoint Online, we were using that InfoPath form technology to build small applications. But again, on the right hand side, if you see, you now have a more powerful platform in terms of Power Apps, where you can build your business applications. So it is really amazing to understand how the learning of a particular product is powering up a complete M365 ecosystem. And I should say that in next couple of years, we will be seeing more components which used to be inside SharePoint, which may start working as an independent capability on M365 very soon. So this is going to be something which is amazing, and how Microsoft is taking up these initiatives to power up M365. So I believe this will give you a little bit insight how SharePoint started with a small product and how the learnings of this SharePoint product is powering up the M365 environment. Moving to the next slide now.
Nikhil, I would like to barge in. While you were explaining about SharePoint Online, I could actually
Yep.
recall going through an announcement that was made by Microsoft somewhere last month, stating that the retiring of the workflows is there in for 2010 and 2013 versions. So would you like to put some light on this in regards to SharePoint Online and workflows that we are discussing about?
Right. I think that's a pretty good piece of information to be shared on this platform, because it is one of the recent announcements from Microsoft, and really people who are actually using SharePoint 2010 workflows, online workflows, they have to look for an alternate platform to migrate those workflows before November this year. Right. So what Microsoft is trying to do is, they have already announced for 2010 that those workflows will stop working from November, as well as for 2013 versions. As far as new tenants are concerned, those tenants will have those workflows, but they will be by default switched off. Right. So in any case, I think it's a really good understanding how this transformation is happening, and how people have options now to either consider Power Automate as one of an alternative to their business process automation, or they can also go for any third-party applications or tools in order to redevelop or migrate these workflows. So this is something really good, and yes, this transformation is really important. And thanks for bringing up this question at this stage. Thank you, Aditi.
Pleasure, Nikhil. Nikhil, now I put up the poll for the audience as stated by you.
Sure.
There's a poll on your screens right now. I would request you all to share your inputs for the same.
So this question comes from two aspects, right? So while you are answering this question, I should highlight that one is people who are still using SharePoint 2010, it's really high time. Consider evaluating maybe Power Automate or any third-party tool in order to plan for migration in next 4 months of time frame. And yes, in case if you are evaluating any other third-party tool, it is good to scan your existing environment, where Microsoft is providing some scanning tools as of now, which can actually evaluate how easy it is, or what are the areas which requires attention before you start planning to migrate. So it's really important. So just to share that info with everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Nikhil, you can proceed further.
Thanks, Aditi. Again, I have a very interesting insight. Majority of the people are on SharePoint workflows. It's really good to know. It's really popular platform, not only for intranets, but yes, for business process automations as well. It's a good understanding. Thank you so much for responding to the poll questions. So moving forward, I will start the conversation around a 3D model, which Microsoft has, you can say, evaluated, innovated, and matured over so many years, right? Now, in terms of, if I start thinking in terms of these three dimensions for intranet solution, I will say they are divided into structural, systematic, and more of a interactional pillars, technology pillars. Now it comes into picture, like if I talk about the leftmost dimension, which is structural, this particular dimension is pretty much focused, or it reflects your organization structure within an intranet system. That is one part of it. Second is, if I talk about systematic part of it, it more reflects your business process automations within the organization, or I should say, in a more common terminology, compliance requirements. So maybe you might be having a lot of documents, content within the organization, within your business applications, or maybe on your network drives, a lot of documents. So from a compliance perspective, you have to retain those documents, say for next 7 years of time or next 10 years of time. So those things comes under the systematic dimension of this 3 model. The third model, which is, or the other third dimension, if I say, interactional. Now this is something which is pretty interesting. Now till date, when we talk about intranet, we always consider intranet as a solution that is more of a unidirectional communication channel, where a lot of information, document, content is being pushed by the organization and it is consumed by the employee, right? So that was the direction it always worked in. But if I really talk about in today's world and in today's sense, if I say intelligent and modern intranet, it is opening up a bidirectional channel. And especially if I say in current era where teams are working in a very distributed way, your resources can be in different geolocations. So as much as we want to consume information as an employee, we also want to talk to our colleagues. We want to collaborate. We want to socialize. So that is one dimension that is really changing how we are defining intranet now. And it is really interesting to know here. And moving forward, I'll be sharing a couple of things which actually are building a foundation of a modern intranet. So moving forward, if I say intelligent intranets in today's world, so some of the key foundation pillars which are being considered by a technology like SharePoint to power up those kind of ecosystems. So if I talk about some of the boxes on the lower side of this particular slide, where I'm saying that, okay, your intranet has to be simple, right? So it has to be simple to such an extent that if I log in into my intranet, it should be seamless for me to navigate. Your navigation should be really easy. It should be really intuitive, and you should not really struggle as an employee or the user of the system to navigate across multiple pages or across multiple sections. So navigation has to be amazing, simple, accessible. So if I talk about accessibility, it is more important that what kind of information I need to do my job on day-to-day basis. So that information should be accessible to me, right? So my intelligent intranet should be intuitive enough that if I am logging into my system, it should be able to show me, give me access to what I need in terms of information. Now, as much as I'm trying to make things simple, make the solution more simple to navigate, I am also trying to make it secure. It is very important, and we all understand intranets are privately owned, managed, and controlled by organizations. So it is not something which is open to the world. So we have to maintain some bit of a security. We need to ensure the data is secured. We need to ensure the information is secured, and whoever needs that information, based on their profile, based on the permission, it is available. It should be security trimmed when I talk about in terms of, say, Microsoft language of security. Now, as much as I'm making things simple, I'm making it accessible, I'm making it secure, I'm also trying to give you a gateway. I'm also want to give you a gateway to my line of business applications. So today, if I'm working from home, right, I'm logging into my intranet system, and my intranet system is providing me access, or it is acting as a gateway to the line of business applications which I need to access to execute my day-to-day work, right? So that really becomes important, because now it is becoming a channel where I'm thinking or imagining to work in a virtual office just by sitting in front of my laptop, in front of my desktop, or maybe a tablet. I should have a complete access to each and every capability which I can access when I'm physically in my office. Now, apart from these, we have been talking about making it simple, accessible, secure, integrated. Intelligence is something which is really changing the way intranets are getting designed. Now, if I tell you to imagine that if you log in into your intranet in the morning, and as soon as you log in, it will bring up the top 5 tasks that you have to do as a highest priority to start your day. How easy it's going to be. You don't have to struggle to think that, okay, where should I start? As soon as you open, your top 5 priority list items are listed in front of you. It becomes really easy to start your day. If I take a very simple example again, if you are going to attend a meeting, and before attending the meeting, if you get a very brief, you can say, insight about who all are attending into that meeting, what is their profile, it becomes very easy for you to prepare, right? And even honestly speaking, for people who are having schedules back to back, you can also take a decision whether you even want to skip that meeting, yes or no. So those kind of intelligence is built in. It is getting built in. I'll be shortly talking about that as well, how it's done and what is the technology behind it. Now, as much as we talked about all these, we are also cognizant of the fact that in today's world, things are very volatile. Organizations are getting restructured. Either you are getting acquired by some other organizations or you are acquiring some other organizations. So that continuous restructuring is actually forcing the IT departments to rethink or redesign their intranets every time. But here what is happening is, if I talk about in terms of SharePoint capabilities, especially the new technologies or new innovations that are coming in, it is all configurable. So as much as you are getting restructured within the organization or you are acquiring some other organization, it is a matter of configuration only that you have to think about, and the whole intranet is still up and running. You don't have to worry about long UAT cycles or having production releases or rewriting the complete code. So it has changed a lot. So that's how the intelligent intranet is coming up. Now the basic piece where I should say which is the foundation of intelligent intranet is your information architect. So if I talk about information architecture, so if you see this particular model in front of you, typically if I talk about 15 years back, we used to think intranet something hierarchical in nature. So if I say hierarchical in nature, you used to go onto a landing page. You have a menu where you can drill down, go to a sales division, and further you can go down to human resource. So you have to navigate on different levels. And if I talk about within SharePoint itself, it becomes pretty easy if your complete intranet is built within a single site collection. Right. So site collection is, you can say, a very high level. It's a concept where you are designing sites and subsites within a boundary. But yes, it has some limitations. Now, if you have to think about creating multiple sites in different site collections and integrate it, it becomes a challenging task if I talk about, you can say, traditional SharePoint sites. But now what is happening is, in terms of, again, Microsoft, what they have done is they are thinking navigation as a flat world. So they are no more talking about hierarchical navigations. So if I take this example, what is in front of you, I have two satellite divisions, which is Sales APAC and Sales Europe. Now these divisions are working independently, and there is no decision that, okay, they'll be mapped to any other home site or any other division of the organization. But suddenly that's a decision taken that, okay, from today onwards, Sales APAC is going to report or get connected to Sales, and Sales Europe also get connected. So in terms of hub sites, we need to just create a very small configuration within your intranet, and you will have associated hub sites now. Now, what will happen is, as soon as this association happens, your navigations across your intranet gets updated. Even if you are following some specific design principles, some specific color themes, everything will start reflecting immediately as soon as you start associating hub sites. So it becomes much more easier, much more flexible. Tomorrow, if you decide that, okay, Sales Europe is going to get connected with marketing division, you have to just pull it out, plug it again into marketing, and the complete navigation across your websites will be updated. So this is how it's becoming pretty easy, how you are trying to maintain these sites. And it is becoming really important how you can imagine and think about, you can say, your architecture, information architecture. Now, one thing really important here is we have been talking so much about intranets. We have been talking about information architecture. We have been talking about three-dimension model within SharePoint ecosystem. But if you already have an intranet as of now, what is that you want to add to it so that it can supercharge the experience of the employees? So what is needed today? If I talk about the current latest technology trends, which can empower your existing intranet system and improve employee experience. So it's very easy to say that, okay, if you have an old system, you just throw it, create a new one. It doesn't work like that always. It always adds value that, okay, you already have a SharePoint intranet, you want to improve or add a couple of things around it to make it more exciting. So if I talk about these components which are in front of you, I would like to split this particular slide into three portions. If I talk about two pillars on the left hand side, then I'll be talking about two pillars on the right hand side, and then the middle one. So the leftmost two pillars, they are more focused towards simplifying the way you find or search a particular item within the organization, within intranet ecosystem, right? Now, if I talk about the first one itself, it is something which totally depends upon how you are creating a content, how the content is generated within the organization, how you are bookmarking those contents that you want easy to find, how you are releasing some promoted results. Now, this is really interesting. Promoted results are something you can imagine like in LinkedIn or any other social media, where you might be searching and you might be getting some, say, top 5 or top 10 results. However, you may also be witnessing some of the promoted contents. So for example, if the HR team comes up with exciting news about hiring new people in SharePoint Technology Group, and they want this news to be promoted or to be available to everyone who is searching, so they can put it as a promoted results. The second pillar becomes much more interesting here. Now, this is where the technology is really catching up in the power of artificial intelligence or machine learning. Now, this is what is happening is there is a Microsoft Graph engine that is actually powering up current SharePoint search. Now, what this does is it actually observes our behavior, how we are acting on our, or how we are navigating through the websites of an intranet system. What is that we are searching? So when we start search, it will bring up the most relevant content which is personalized to me, right? And it is so intelligent that it identifies how what kind of a document I was working maybe the previous day, what is the version of the document which I am interested to work in. So those all things are result of extensive data crunching at the backend, and it becomes much more powerful in terms of and relevant for you as an individual employee. Now, moving towards the right-hand side, the two pillars where I'm talking about web parts and social and collaboration. So Yammer integration within intranets is becoming really, you can say, a well-accepted standard now. So to make a bi-directional channel, to open up the intranets as a platform where employees are not only collaborating, they are also contributing. There are different groups that are being created. People are joining those groups, and it really becomes important because especially in current scenario where we talk about remote workforces, right? So it really becomes important. The web part piece is something which I'll say that it is continuous. So these are some of the web parts which are being released by Microsoft, and they are also recommended to improve the user experience. So for instance, highlighted contents web part, associated sites web part, news rollups. Now, apart from these, if I talk about the centerpiece, which is the Power Platform, now it is something which is really um, not inside SharePoint. It is sitting outside SharePoint, but it is well integrated with your intranet system. So today, if you need to build a business application, you have a low code to near zero coding uh, Power Apps platform where you can build your apps in a very short duration of time frame. You have Power Automate, which is available, which can help you automate your task. Your business process automation can be taken care of. If we talk about insights, Power BI is a platform that can help you develop those insights and build interesting dashboards. Now, apart from that, one interesting thing is coming up here is more of a virtual assistant. So as much as you are planning to hire new people, if you need some extra hands in terms of an intelligent assistant on your internet, it is there. So this is something which is really interesting. And moving forward, I would like to highlight or rather share a very quick video which will share with you the innovation or rather the value add what Yammer is bringing up in terms of a social and a collaboration piece of it. So I'll quickly bring up a video here for you all to see this.
In today's modern mobile workplace, how do you connect all the dots to make sure you're not missing out? How do you stay in the loop and find new ways to contribute? Yammer makes it easy to spark conversations that strengthen relationships, capture collective knowledge, and create real impact. You'll love how intuitive it is to jump in and start talking. From setting up your own group to sharing documents, photos, and videos to communicating across languages, Yammer brings you closer in a matter of clicks. Yammer makes it easy to build community without borders. As part of Microsoft 365, it works on any device, from virtually any location, at any scale. Use it to crowdsource knowledge or brainstorm ideas beyond your division or region, or find shared interest groups that make you feel like you belong. Work is a great place to be when you're connected and contributing. Ask, share, listen. Yammer.
You need to be connected, you need to be contributing. I think these are the two repeated jargons which are being highlighted, especially in COVID times. So it really becomes important. Technology like Yammer can be harnessed to power up your current intranet sites and ensure that people are collaborating, they are socializing on that platform. And yes, you are allowing them to be more productive even while they are working from home. Right. Now, as much as we are talking about collaboration, we are talking about building beautiful sites, we are talking about flexibility, it's really important that we continue to open up our eyes and ears and understand how our platform is being utilized. Right. It's really important because once you build something and you send it out, you need to understand its adoption. Right. Now, this is where adoption and usage analytics of these platforms comes in handy. Now, it also happens at two levels. One is where you are talking about uh, understanding how many unique users are coming in, what is the you can say maximum viewed content on your website. You would also like to understand or have these insights even at the small hub level sites or maybe at department level sites, if I can simplify this. It's interesting to understand what are the devices people are using to access your internet, right? And one thing really good here is, again, it is very amazing and to understand how you can target your content. So you have an understanding that what is the best day of the week, or rather the best time of that day, where if you have to release a most important information. So if HR team has to make a very important announcement, these insights can help you understand what is the best time where they can get maximum traffic on this platform. Now, as I said, it happens at two levels. So as much as it will give you an insight on top of the complete intranet, it can give you the similar kind of capability at your department level websites, or what we call as hub analytics. The only point I would like to highlight here is this is something which is available up to 200 sites in a hub. It's really important to understand. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot have more than 200 sites in a hub. You can definitely have. However, in case if you have more than 200 hub sites, you will be able to access analytics reports for top 200 active hub sites. So this is something really important. Sometimes reading between the lines makes it more clear. Otherwise, reading just the content, it gives us an impression that, yeah, it is only up to 200, but that's not the case, right? So we need to interpret it well. So just moving forward, I'll have another poll question coming in, and I'll request Aditi to bring it up for me.
Sure, Nikhil. There's a poll on your screens right now. I would request everyone to share their input.
Now, this particular poll question comes with two objectives here, right? So one objective is if you already using SharePoint 2010 workflows, you should really consider exploring Microsoft Power Automate. That is one part of it. Second is we would like to set a stage here where we are planning to have another session which is very much targeted to Power Automate. And if you are keen to join in the session, put yourself as a yes, and I'll ensure that our teams will reach out to you as soon as that plan is in place and that invitation reaches out to you. And it is going to be very much focused, targeted to Power Automate.
Thank you so much, everyone. Nikhil, you can proceed.
Well, Aditi, I cannot hold here myself. I should say you have a lot of people who are keen to explore Microsoft Power Automate, and definitely in next coming up sessions, we need to include these people. So just make a note of that.
Correctly. I'll make a note of it.
Thank you so much. So
Sure.
as much as we have your responses, thank you so much for it. I think it's a time where we need to start looking at some of the real world examples. So I'll say that these are some real world use cases where we acted, we delivered the solution, and it is somewhere unique, a little bit different in terms of what we used to see on day-to-day basis. So I'll quickly take you through these three unique use cases. I should not say unique, but they are different as compared to other intranets or other solutions on SharePoint. So the first one coming through is an intranet solution that we delivered to a Singapore-based petrol refinery. Now, the most interesting piece of this particular solution is, as much as we have delivered intranet as a channel to communicate to their employees, we have delivered a very interesting application to them. Now, if you look at the application name, it is a cost-saving idea application. Now, the interesting part here is every organization invest a lot of money, a lot of cost gets incurred in order to keep that engine running. So on day-to-day expenses, on their operational costs, a lot of things happen, right? Which may be visible, which may not be visible to the employee who is working, right? However, we have a perception sometimes that, okay, this cost thing, running that engine, running the business, these are all something which is taken care by the management. So as an employee, I don't have to worry about it, but it doesn't happen here. So they come up with a very interesting idea that they want employees to share their ideas, because employees observe around and share their ideas how the cost can be reduced, how it can be optimized on day-to-day activities and tasks. I'll say a very simple activity where you might be um, utilizing a cab for a business meeting. It can be as simple as that. So there can be many scenarios. But here what is happening is this organization is allowing employees to put in their ideas and how these costs can be optimized. And they are not only allowing them to input ideas, but those ideas are reviewed. They are actually the top ideas are recognized and the best ideas are implemented. So they are actually creating a culture to engage with their employees on this platform. And it is again something very unique what I have seen, how organizations are engaging with their employees, and the employee are actually sharing their ideas openly into this particular system. And yes, they are also seeing the best idea getting implemented, which actually reinforces their collaboration with the business as a whole, right? So it is something I thought I need to share with you all. It's something really great and different. Another implementation, what we did, and the uniqueness about this implementation is we came across a requirement where we never designed an intranet. These guys were already having an intranet solution in place running on SharePoint, and they are a very large healthcare IT leader within Singapore. Now, what they came up with a unique requirement. So they said that they have a lot of sensitive documents sitting inside SharePoint, and they are exploring a banking grade security solution to be implemented. Now, if you look at the top right corner, you can see a token, which usually you might have noticed when you are accessing your banking accounts. You push a button, it gives you a number, and then it allows you to log in into your to access your account information. Now, this is something what they were wanting to implement. It was something again a new something new for us, but we went in, we did some research work, we upskilled our teams, and we integrated a banking grade security solution with an intranet system. Now again, it is something different. It is something which is not SMS based. It is something which is they are still using it and quite secured. So it is again one of the unique experiences what we had. One of the use case which again comes up here is utilizing a document management capability of SharePoint as a knowledge management portal, right? So this is a research organization. They have a lot of research work, research papers stored in document libraries. They wanted to have a search capability built around that content which is stored inside. And they also wanted to track down, or rather have a very micro level audit capability of understanding that who is making changes to which document, or rather what are the documents and how these documents are being utilized and by whom. So those are some of the questions they were having, and they wanted to build this knowledge management portal utilizing SharePoint platform. So we went in, we tried to you can say architect the platform, and we have multi-level approvals within that platform, research articles, and a complete end-to-end audit trail was built in. So this is something which I wanted to share in terms of use cases about SharePoint. But again, even if today I go back and try to put a question to myself that what is SharePoint, it always surprises me. It always gives me something unique, because the way this technology is evolving, the way and the speed with which new functionalities, artificial intelligence, machine learning is powering up, how Power BI is actually empowering the M365 engine. These are some things which actually always comes back to me and puts a question that, okay, 3 years back, this was SharePoint, but now the definition is moved on. So to share that answer to you, I would like to share a quick video which actually Microsoft released in 2019. It went viral, and it's really amazing. I cannot hold myself sharing it with you. Amazing intranets. So I think that's pretty much from my side. I would like to hand over the session to Aditi to take some of the questions. Aditi, over to you.
Thank you, Nikhil, for giving us such a wonderful session. We'll now go ahead and take some time for questions. Just a reminder to everyone, please be sure to type your questions into the question box that's there in your control panel. We'll take a short pause over here so that the questions populate from our audience. Nikhil, it looked like we have some questions from the audience. The first one that comes up is from Mr. Chandrapal. He wants to understand how AI can be incorporated into SharePoint.
Okay, so a short answer to this is, if I talk about M365 platform, so as I shared, I think in the presentation, one is Microsoft Graph is a technology that is powering up the search capability, right? Now, apart from that, those REST APIs or other API interfaces can also be integrated with your intelligent virtual assistants, right? It can also harness the capability or other data which is getting generated within SharePoint, and it can give you some predictive analysis, right? So those are the areas. So I should say the short answer is the platform itself has a lot of capability, but yes, it has extensibility. It has some APIs which you can utilize for some customized applications also within this ecosystem. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Mr. Chandar, I hope that answers your questions. I have a next question, Nikhil, coming up from Louis. He wants to know, we are using the SharePoint server for our intranet site and few workflows. How can we migrate the site to SharePoint Online along with the workflows?
So I should say the first step to plan for the migration is to scan the existing environment. So there are a couple of informations that we definitely need about the version, right? We need to understand what all customizations are there on your existing system. And once we have that information, then we can start planning either to you can say move those components on as is basis to cloud, or maybe do some customizations or redevelop those components if they are no more supported. So I think the first step is to analyze the existing environment, and that's the place where we start planning for the migration.
Thank you, Nikhil. I hope that answers your question, Louis. Nick, I have a next question from Lucy. Hi, we will be getting the copy of the webinar. Nikhil, I would take this up. Lucy will be sharing the recording with all the participants and the audience that have actually come up to us. Thank you. And Nikhil, we have a next question coming up from Melvin Tan. It's that, not going too much into the details, may I know how was the token incorporated into SharePoint Online?
Okay, interesting question here. As much as I should say that it was the capability of openness of SharePoint as a platform, but also the third-party token that we integrated. So those third-party tokens were also having some API extensions that we incorporated at the authentication layer within SharePoint. So I should say there are two things to understand. One is SharePoint is getting authenticated from Active Directory. That is something, one layer of security. Another is the API that was exposed by the third-party product or that banking token application or other server, security server, was also mapped to the same authentication layer. Now, every token, if you really look at the token, what you have to access your banking accounts, those tokens have a unique, you can say, token IDs also, maybe printed at the backend side if you look at it. So those are, you can say, unique keys, which actually empowers an algorithm which actually runs on that third-party security server, and it actually integrates with your SharePoint authentication layer. So that's a very high level, I should say, but there are more details to it. If you're keen for those kind of implementations, do connect with us offline.
Thank you, Nikhil. I hope, Melvin, that answers your question, and if it required, we can get connected offline. Nikhil, we have another question from Philip Matthew. He wants to know, is the SharePoint Workflow 2013 also expiring, not just the Workflow 2010? If yes, when?
Okay, SharePoint 2013 workflow are not, you can say, retiring as of now. The announcement what had Microsoft actually came up with is for new tenants of SharePoint 2013, by default, those workflows will be switched off. But however, using some PowerShell scripts, you can turn on those workflows, right? So that is about the announcement. But yeah, so as of now, you can say that retirement date is not, you can say, announced for 2013 as of now.
Thank you, Nikhil. I hope, Philip, that answers your question. I have another question coming up from Mr. Anil Kumar. He wants to understand if AI feature only limited to SP Online.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, so I should say that artificial intelligence as a platform. So if I talk about SharePoint Online, it is, again, talking about SharePoint Online is in terms of artificial intelligence will be too conservative, right? So AI platform in terms of Microsoft, I should say it is completely built around Azure ecosystem. And that is the same ecosystem that is powering up Microsoft 365 artificial intelligence, and also connected to, or rather integrated with, SharePoint. So as an ecosystem, yes, it is available on cloud, but if you are keen to, you can say, utilize it for on-prem solutions, yes, Microsoft Graph, what I'm talking about is that algorithms can be deployed on-prem as well.
Thank you, Nikhil. Mr. Anil, I hope that answers your question. So this is all the time we had for the question answer round. Thank you so much for putting up your questions. We'll address the remaining questions on one-on-one post this webinar. Now it's time for refill draw. As we mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, you have a chance to win a one-on-one 3 hours detailed session on Microsoft Power Automate. I'll take a quick pause over here to look out for our first winner for the this raffle draw. We have our first winner that comes up is Brett Kramer from Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. Congratulations, Brett. We have our next winner from Minda Corporation, Mr. Pankaj Gupta. Congratulations, Pankaj. We have our third winner from REC Solar, Singapore. It's Lionel Pinardon. Congratulations, Lionel. And the last winner that we have is Melvin Yong from National Gallery, Singapore. Congratulations to all the winners. If you have any further questions for us, kindly do email us and we'll reply to you. My email ID is now flashing on your screen. It's aditi.rastogi@pathinfotech.com. With that, we end this webinar. Thank you, Nikhil, for this informative session. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out and joining us. We appreciate you being here. We will be sharing the recording of this webinar with all of you very soon. Stay tuned for our next upcoming webinar. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Aditi. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you soon.
Thank you, Nikhil.